Peace and blessings. What's up, fam? So, today is the 4th of July, which in the United States is considered Independence Day. And I choose to not celebrate the traditional meaning of this day because I can't do it in good conscience. I am born into white skin, white body, through a lineage of my ancestors who came to the United States to settle upon this land that was occupied by the colonizers. And this land in particular, what is now named as the United States, was land that was stolen, and the governing system was established in the name of, through the means of genocide, stealing, occupying, and built upon the backs of enslaved peoples. And so I cannot celebrate this day, and I have so much to say about that, but maybe at another time. So what I am doing today, though, is I am taking the notion of independence and I'm feeling into it, and I'm adapting it in a way that feels integrous and aligned with my values, and in a way that is meaningful for me, and not just for me, but for all of creation, because I acknowledge that I myself, even though my experience of myself in the human third dimension is individuated into golden, but I know the truth of who I truly am is I am woven into all of existence, and that I am one with all that is, as are you. And so this notion of independence is really curious to me, because I believe that life is this tapestry of weaving interdependence, and that I cannot exist in this third dimension without being woven interdependently with the earth, with nature, with family, community, humanity, and living upon the planet, within the universe, within the multiverse. And so I celebrate that interdependence of all of life and the beauty of that. And I'm also feeling into what I am declaring independence from in my own inner world. And this ties in actually perfectly to this inner vision quest that I've been on. I'm getting closer to the end of week 5 right now, and it's been quite a journey. And it's been based in this humble and sincere request of show me. Show me. Show me. Ultimately, my heart prayer and my soul intention for the rest of my days as a human is to be in service to love, and to be a transmission and an emanation of love embodied and love in action. And so big part of this process is identifying and disentangling from all things that are not my truth or aligned with my highest destiny here. And so in this vision quest, I came in with zero expectations, but I've been shown. I've just opened myself to the process, and I've been shown things in my shadow, things that, the natural way of being a human is we have these blinders and we have these blind spots that we can't see. And so when we do the inner visioning, we are journeying into all parts of our being, not just the parts of ourselves that we love and we're proud of and we share with people and that people love about us, but it's also about feeling into those parts of ourselves that we've hidden, we've disassociated from, we minimize, we downplay, we don't dare show anyone else, we hide not only from the world, these parts of ourselves, but from ourselves, which creates the blind spots. And this vision quest has been pretty confronting for me because I've been being shown very clearly parts of myself that I have hidden from myself to protect myself from. Because for whatever reason, I wasn't able to really presence those parts of me at the capacity at which I have been lately. And there is such beauty in that. And my practice that I bring into the shadow work is to presence it with love and compassion and honesty, and I'm not bringing judgment. I'm not bringing in the shame and the guilt and the make wrong, although that does arise, because some of the things that arise that I'm seeing I am not proud of. And I'm actually saddened and sometimes horrified by what I see that I have been or done in relationship to myself or with others, the way I've just sort of navigated life. And that's contextualized by me knowing truly that I have shown up at the best of my ability in every moment of my life, and I've always done my best. But from the place that I am in now, I see, wow, I did some things that I am just so not proud of or wish I could have done differently from a different place of consciousness or knowing or understanding or awakening, but it was what it was, and I was who I was, and I'm not that person anymore today, and that person who I was helped me be who I am today in this awakening process. I had to go through that to be where I'm at today, to have this understanding through those experiences. So they definitely serve their purpose. But what I'm getting really clear on there are old ways of being that I adopted into my sense of self and into my identity and into my way of thinking, way of believing, way of navigating life and showing up in the world that I'm really clear no longer serve me. And so I am utilizing the energy of declaring independence in my life from old ways of being that no longer serve me. And I'd love to invite you into this practice. And there's several ways that we can do this, and I'm feeling into different ways, options for how to do this. First thing we got to do is get clear with what we are declaring independence from in our life. And so it's taking the inner inventory and doing the inner inquiry of who am I today and what thoughts, beliefs, actions, behaviors, ways of relating to myself, ways of relating to others, ways of relating to life serve me and are feeding my well-being and the well-being of the greater whole, and which ways which of these things no longer serve my highest good and the trajectory of me being on the path of my highest destiny and being of maximum benefit to the greater whole, to myself and the greater whole this lifetime. And so, I've been taking a really honest look at myself, and I'm clear about some things that I am declaring independence from. And one way that we can declare independence from these things is we can acknowledge, perhaps it's just one particular thing, we can do a ceremony where we do a releasing ritual, and we ask for the inner guidance around setting up the release ritual. And we can do this with people who we love and trust. We can do it solo. I facilitate release rituals for people, so if you have questions about that, feel free to reach out and ask me about that. We can also do a simple practice, one that I really love, that I have done in the past that works for me, is I think of my heart as a bonfire. The bonfire of my heart and the bonfire of purification and alchemization. Is that a word? Alchemization? Alchemy? Transmutation. The fire of transmutation that purifies and burns away that which no longer needs to be a part of my being or my field or my energy or my blueprint. And I bring that into the bonfire of my heart, and I allow the fires of purification to burn away that which no longer needs to be integrated into my being. And I envision the ash of that serving as compost upon the fertile soils of my being, where I'm planting the new seeds and allowing those seeds to take root within my being and within my consciousness to continue to cultivate my highest, deepest, wisest self embodied here, so I can be of greatest service and really be on course with my soul mission. And then I imagine the energy of transmutation of what has been burned in the fires of purification to transmute into the seeds, into new form of reality. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, it changes. So I work with that energy, and I honor and bless the old me, the old way of being, the old way of thinking as, okay, it really served its purpose, and now I am releasing and surrendering that and making space for what is being born of me in this moment, and giving myself permission to change and grow and not be stuck in the old identity and in the old ways. This is powerful work. Another approach can be cutting or severing ties. I've done this in the past. I did it more in the past. I've done more of the bonfire purification in my heart recently. That seems to resonate with me. But I actually just had really interesting, a friend of mine, a kindred soul that I adore, who I don't have a lot of contact with in connection, but she's just one of those people who's like one of my peoples, reached out to me yesterday and had received a download from Spirit and spoke it to me, and it was just mind-blowing that how spot on her message was for me. She shared the message around one of the things that she really got, and she was like, if this doesn't make sense or resonate, let it go. But I just felt so compelled. I got this vision, I got this message, I felt like I was directed to share it with you, and so I received the message about something that I'm actually working on releasing, and it's something that I've adopted into my sort of energetic signature and the way I've navigated life. That I've gotten a lot of clarity lately around how I don't need to be beholden to this old way of being that once served its purpose in my life. But I am birthing a new me, and I don't need to subscribe to that old strategy, philosophy, thinking, way of being anymore. And in her languaging, she shared the message, and then towards the end she was like, I can really see you doing a cord cutting ceremony around this. And I was like, interesting, because I haven't done the cord cutting lately. I've really been doing the transmutation of the fire practice lately and the release rituals. Because actually in one of my recent release rituals that I was facilitating, I really got the download that there's nothing to release per se, that it's about releasing attachment. That's the game changer. That's the key. And so perhaps I'm going to, I am playing with this idea of cutting the cord is releasing the attachment to this old way of thinking and behaving, being, navigating life that no longer serves where I am now and where I am going. So I'm declaring independence from that energetic imprint that I picked up along the way of this lifetime. I know that I've carried this in from other lifetimes. I've gotten really clear vision around that. And I know that it's something that's been passed to me generationally as well, and something that I picked up from my family. And not blaming them or judging them or shaming them either. I mean, I know that we've all done our best and, to our greatest capability with our circumstances and what is passed to us. And, but I'm just getting like, okay, it's time for an upgrade in my life. And so I'm actually going to today sit at my altar and do a cord cutting ritual with a few old ways of being that no longer serve me. I'm ready. I'm really ready for the new paradigm being birthed through me. And so some of the things I'll just share with you vulnerably so you can kind of have a more tangible understanding of what I'm talking about is the martyr archetype. And this is very much woven into single motherhood experience of mine, that I've been navigating for so many years. And a reality of single motherhood is that we are perpetually in a space of selfless service, and that we are perpetually putting our children's needs before ours. Self-care practices can fall to the wayside. Many single mothers or single parents even we can be chronically on survival mode. And when a human is chronically on survival mode, we can go into mindsets of lack and uncertainty, and our nervous systems can be chronically triggered into a sympathetic response, which can impact our immune system and has all these implications on body, mind, spirit. And we can go into a place of suffering. It almost becomes like masochistic, but not intentionally. Like, none of us chooses that from a conscious place. Excuse me. And the way I'm looking at the way my life has played out and the way that I navigated my very best in life, in a young adulthood and in adulthood and in my relationships with myself and with others. And I realized the impact of core wounds and unresolved early attachment wounding and early childhood traumas. The way that they have had impact on my ability to navigate from a place of empoweredness and centeredness and confidence and self-knowing and self-love. Like, I didn't have those things in place. And I really get that it needed to go that way for a whole host of reasons to get me right here. And in the awakening process, we get the option of saying, wow, that's who I was. That's what I carried forward into now. And I have the option to continue to live that way, or I have the option to feel into what serves my well-being and my highest destiny on the planet and what doesn't. And then we have the option to dig deep and cultivate the courage and the will and the devotion to the vision of who we are becoming. So we compost the past to fertilize the seeds of what are being planted today to grow into fruition of the vision of our highest destiny in this lifetime, and what is beyond. And that's really what I'm about now. And I am about honoring who and what I was, and the beauty of that, and the beauty of how I did my best with what I experienced in life. And I mourn, I grieve the sadness of the very painful circumstances that came from me functioning from a place of having my consciousness hijacked by unresolved early attachment wounding and core wounds and unresolved traumas, and like the damage that was done in my life because I wasn't able to show up in any other way at those times. And so I'm just really working on the practice of presencing what is with honesty and with full vision, and compassionately looking at those parts of me that I'm not freaking stoked on and proud of. But seeing the beauty of that. And part of my practice is also daily. I incorporate in blessing all of my relations to myself, to all the relations, human relations, all of relations, and daily asking for forgiveness for the ways that I have shown up that, whether intentionally or unintentionally, inflicted pain upon myself or others. And then asking for that forgiveness. And it's all energetic, and it's all through prayer and affirmation and in meditation. And I have some other practices that I'm going to be sharing here about the reprogramming of the subconscious mind, having the attitude of gratitude. I'm really big on changing my languaging. This is something that's really coming up in the very, very, very recent past. In the last couple of days, it's been like coming through really clear about being very mindful with my languaging. And I know that when I go into a place of fear and contraction and disconnect from my, when I go into the whole not trusting, not feeling the bigger picture, disconnected from, having that sense of disconnection from my center and my core, my languaging follows that. And I am going to really focus on speaking a new me into existence and affirming my heart vision and my soul vision. And I'm really interested and curious about how to speak mindfully when we are experiencing painful circumstances, so that we're not feeding the incessant loop of old ways of being and speaking and thinking that no longer serve us, that we don't want to feed into our future self. That's something that I'm really asking Spirit about, is guidance on that, because I don't want to do a spiritual bypass thing of like, oh yeah, everything's great, and like not speaking about what is, but being very thoughtful and mindful about speaking about what is and honoring what is, and creating languaging around how I am shifting that into, cultivating that and shifting that into who I am becoming. And I feel like, again, in my life, I'm rebirthing myself and shedding the old layers and bowing reverently to my old ways of being, and devoting myself to move forward into my true purpose, to beam through, to continue to devote to being an emanation and a transmission of love, and do the inner healing and the inner unconditional loving acceptance of myself deeper and deeper and deeper, so that the more that's uncovered, the more I'm just embracing it, so that I can be that presence in the world. I am here to serve the spirit of love and to surrender and yoke my human self and my ego and my mind and my languaging and my actions in service to that. May I be of maximum benefit this lifetime, not only to my own personal soul mission, but to the greater whole. That is what is up. And, it's like stepping into the unknown and diving head first, heart first, into the unknown, and with deep trust that I'm always held, and we all are always held by Spirit and Source, because that is what we are. even when we are feeling pain and disconnect, that there is a reason why we're having that moment. And the more we have our daily discipline devoted practices of anchoring into the truth of who we truly are, what I'm finding is that when the disconnect and the fear and all that shit comes up like a wave, it passes through more quickly. Is that the correct way to say it? I feel more tethered to myself. I feel more centered. I feel more in the eye of the storm, more and more. So, I would love to encourage you to cultivate your daily practices, and perhaps that'll be the next video I make, is cultivating your daily practices, your devotions to yourself, self-care, to honor your wellness and wholeness, your well-being, so that you can weather any storm and that you can be the eye of the storm. And the world can be ripping and thrashing all around you. I know all about that. But you can sit like frickin' Buddha in the center of the storm. I'm so grateful that if you made it this far in the video, that you're here with me, and I bow to you in your awakening process. You are doing massive work, and please know that it might seem subtle or small or unnoticeable to even yourself, let alone everyone and everything around you, but this work that you are doing is actually monumental and massive. It is a game changer. It is the birth of the new paradigm that's not only going to serve your highest good, but all of creation's highest good. I truly believe those of us that are here having this awakening experience, this is a big part of our soul mission, is that we came here asleep, contracted to come in asleep, to have the awakening process, to experience the beauty of the self-realization this lifetime, and to be that presence on the planet that has, this dominant system placed upon it that wants us asleep. But the self-realization and the awakening is actually feeding the liberation and creating an entirely new paradigm on the planet. And as a mother and as a lover of life, as a lover of the earth and all of humanity and all of the creatures and all of creation, and as a member of the universe and the multiverse, I think that we came to this planet intentionally at this time to help birth the new way and to remember the old way, and to bring that forward into now, to serve those who are the young ones who are here, the ones who are to come, experience the beauty of what can be. This planet is a garden goddess set up for us to thrive, living in symbiosis with her. How freaking amazing is that? All we gotta do is the inner awakening, because we live in a fractal multiverse, and when we do the inner work, it ripples through, it touches all of creation, and each moment is a choice. Each moment is a choice. You get to decide. You get to choose your own destiny. Just let that soak in for a second. the beauty of that. Thank you for taking the time to drop in with me today, and I would love if you would like to share with me what you are declaring independence from in your life, and perhaps the ways you're feeling into the beauty of interdependence as well. And maybe you even want to write a comment of who you are birthing within yourself this lifetime. Who are you cultivating? And who did you come here to be? How are you composting your old ways that no longer serve you into fertilizer and nourishment for the you that is being born through you right now? Thank you. I bow to you. Peace be within you. Infinite love and blessings.